Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International, and we were talking about the positive indicators of Egypt's economy, very promising economy, and it has been praised, as I mentioned in my introduction, by international monetary organizations. And to shed more light on this topic, we're most delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Pacinthe Fahmy, an economic expert. A very good morning, Dr. Pacinthe.
Good morning to you.
Thank you so much. Doctor, first of all, as an expert, how do you evaluate the progress of Egypt's economy given the positive indicators and also the appraisal of international monetary organizations?
What is happening in Egypt during the last period and inshallah ongoing hasn't been done anywhere in the world, for decades, because the achievements of the Egyptian economy and the performance are witnessed by all international institutions and by indices. We are seeing growth in the GDP, which is something very surprising during the COVID corona pandemic, because the whole world has been affected negatively during the last period and this period and ongoing. I think if it stays for another year, it's going to be very difficult for the whole world. But for Egypt, because we have, first of all, a very good plan which has been designed called the 2030 plan. This is a very optimistic and sophisticated plan for the development of Egypt. Second, we have a very well diversified economy. We had 50% of our population youth, young generation. We have the supervision and the follow-up of Mr. President and the government and the parliament, minute by minute, by what is going on the ground. So because of all that, we have been achieving results where no other countries in the world, and it is expected for the coming 10 years that the performance will be exceptionally well as well, especially that we have moved to develop the governorates and the areas outside the major ones like Cairo and Alexandria. We are building new cities. We're developing the infrastructure and the agribusiness, the fisheries. All that activities can be done even during Corona. And that's why we were able to achieve results, meaning only the agribusiness and the industries based on it developed a very large part of our economy. If we add to this fisheries, we add to this infrastructure, new cities, you're building a new country. So that's why all those results have been seen, and inshallah we are going to continue, because I repeat, the plan is very optimistic, very well done, reviewed regularly, so that to adapt to the change which is happening in the whole world. Export has reached a very high level. We are now self-sufficient in major food supplies. We are number one in fruits like oranges, like strawberries, vegetables. Fishing as well is becoming a major industry. So I think all those activities achieved the figures and the indexes we have seen, and they are all witnessed by international evaluation institutions like the IMF and others.
Speaking about international monetary organizations, Dr. Pacinthe, what does it imply that these organizations praise the performance of Egypt's economy?
It's a certificate to the whole world that this market is developing, could continue to develop, and that's why foreign investors are encouraged to come to this area, because when you look at the world, there are 100 companies in the world that are very well known, the multinational or the cross-border. They are looking for areas to invest. And when those institutions like the IMF issues that type of statement, it encourages those institutions to come to our market, invest, which is going to improve further the achievement, invest in this part of the world, which enjoys as well a unique geographic location. The weather as well in Egypt is very agreeable, and you can work 365 days in the open air with no fear. So that type of report encourages the multinational companies, the cross-border companies, to come to our market, invest, and then export to Africa, to Europe, left and right, etc. And that's why it's very important to follow those reports and to issue to them all the necessary information whereby they can issue more reports to encourage investors to join our efforts and come to our market. I think in the coming period, the cooperation between the technology, which is owned by the 100 companies I'm talking about, our resources and Africa resources, and the finance of major institutions could develop a very strong cooperation for economic development, not only in Egypt, but in the region, because the regionalization will become a major issue. International economic diplomacy as well will be an international issue. And I think the world has to change, and they are changing the way they are dealing together so that they create benefits for everybody.
Dr. Pacinthe, also about the development, speaking about development, President Fattah Sisi for the past 6 years have inaugurated several mega national projects. What is the impact or the ramifications of these projects on the Egyptian economy?
The Egyptian market has been neglected for decades. 60 years, nothing has been done. And Mr. President has an optimistic plan. Developing the infrastructure is the base for developing the economy. So he has been working and giving attention to the infrastructure, roads, railway, ports, new cities, gas, oil, petroleum. He has been giving electricity. We had a long list of problems, and Mr. President knew that, and he had a very clear vision. He started on developing a plan for developing infrastructure first. Once you have a strong infrastructure in place, then you can work on developing economy, not only for your country, but for the region. Because Africa is a very rich region, and Egypt has been always the entry to Africa since the Pharaoh's time. So the plan of developing the infrastructure, starting from electricity, gas, roads, railways, and I want to mention here that state-of-the-art projects, meaning they are not just normal projects done here and there. When you look at the achievements, they are state-of-the-art. So the efforts of Mr. President, the clear vision, he had a clear vision on how to start developing Egypt, and he started by infrastructure, which is the right way. And then on the infrastructure, you can build new cities, you can develop the life of the Egyptians, because any plan in the world, any economic plan, has a major objective, is to ensure and offer a proper standard of life for its inhabitants. The Egyptian people deserve to live properly like any advanced country in the world, and the plans which has been put in place, I repeat, were developed by the government, reviewed by the parliament, approved by Mr. President as well, had only one objective or a major objective, a better life for Egypt, a better economy. The Egyptians can work in their marketplace instead of going left and right. And meanwhile, as well, I wish to mention that all the plans have been always watching the international standards of the World Bank and the IMF and all international institutions, whereby we need to watch carefully the change of climate. We need to watch carefully as well to fight illegal immigration. We have to watch clearly and closely as well the climate. So all those things, the change of climate, all those major issues have been always under our supervision when the plan was there. And I repeat, the follow-up, the day-by-day follow-up by Mr. President, the government and the parliament has given it a big push for a proper development.
Indeed, Dr. Pacinthe, of course, hard work pays off. And speaking about the World Bank, it has described Egypt as a shining point in Africa after the foreign investments increased by almost 11%. Another positive indicator here, don't you think so?
Yes, and Africa has a long list of problems. We have wars between the countries, and we have poverty, we have illegal immigration. There are a lot of problems in the area. And meanwhile, this is a very rich continent. So what Egypt has been doing, as mentioned by the World Bank, it has been seen by everybody, and it gave a bit of hope for the whole world that they can develop Africa, develop its resources, for food supply and food security in the whole world, for uranium, for oil, for gold. I mean, this is a long list of wealth what has been neglected for years. But the performance of Egypt has given a hope for the whole world that cooperation with this continent, and Egypt always will be the entry to the continent. And when I say entry, meaning we are going to develop as well infrastructure together with Africa, finance sectors like banks and monetary system, fiscal system. We're going to transfer our experience and our hard work to that part, which is close. We are very close. We talk the same. We have the same objective. We have 50%, as I mentioned, young generation. So I think the world is seeing that Egypt, and I repeat the word regionalization, will form regional, how do we call it, regional groups to develop Africa for the best, not only for Egypt and Africa, but for the whole world.
Dr. Pacinthe, your closing remarks as we're wrapping up?
Well, I'm very optimistic about the future, very happy about what is going on, especially the huge project we are working on now, which is the development of all the governorates of Egypt, alleviating the poverty all over Egypt, developing all the small villages, passing electricity, gas, infrastructure, opportunities for work for our young generation across Egypt. So I think this is a mega project where the whole world is watching, and our success in it will be a success for the whole continent of Africa.
Doctor, before I let you go, just to have your insight, speaking about Africa, you had said that there's a lot of potential. What do you think the African free trade area how would it help to boost the trade and the economy in Egypt and in Africa?
When you look at the geography, especially during the COVID-19, there is not many parts in the world where you can do this. I think that Africa and Egypt together can do a lot, not only for improving the standard of life in the African continent, but also for cooperating with the whole world. The whole world wants to move, but they have very big difficulties. And if this part of the world is an attractive one, so Egypt and Africa together can be the point of attraction for big investments in the whole world. And I repeat, there are 100 companies which are looking very closely now to this continent, entering through Egypt together with Africa can change the results of the economic performance in the whole world. So I am very optimistic about this, and we have a very big role to play, not only on the infrastructure, but on the economic sector, the banking sector, the finance sector, transferring our technology in all aspects of life, because we're close. We can speak almost the same language. We have the same attitude. So it's very easy to perform in Africa for Egypt rather than other foreign countries where there are a lot of obstacles. We cannot do that. And Egypt will help in achieving that performance, inshallah.
Dr. Pacinthe Fahmy, economic expert, thank you so much for your insight, and thank you so much for being with us on the Breakfast Show.
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you so much. And dear viewers, now we move on to a quick break, and then I'll be back to resume the remaining segments of the Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International.